Chapter 4 Focus and Fog. Lewis sat at the keyboard, gazing in wonder at what every writer had always dreamt of seeing: a filled screen full of coherent words. Plot, dialogue, context, everything in its place. It wasn't perfect, to be sure, but it was as close as he had ever gotten. Within only a few hours, Lewis had reworked most of his current project, from the beginning to now, and his synapses were still on fire. He leaned back in his chair, studying the story intently. There were still a few things missing, parts that were needed to make it an effective podcast instead of just a story. It needs to be more of an experience, really. The light on his monitor dimmed and turned orange in hue, prompting Lewis to check the clock. Holy crap, 9 p.m. Never wrote for that long before. A slight twang of guitar string caught his attention, and Lewis turned his head. The tune continued, and the young man stood and followed it, opening the cracked door to David's room. It was always a different sight. The skateboard stickers on the wall, the clothes strewn about amongst the clash of darker walls and brighter knickknacks. The artist was clearly alive in such a place. David sat at his desk, tapping at his computer screen after plucking the guitar strings again. His head bobbed in rhythm to whatever was pulsing through his headphones, and he nodded to Lewis as he saw his brother in his peripheral vision. He took the headphones off and smiled.
Sorry, man. Got caught up in the sound, I guess. Looked like you were really focused in there. Did I break your concentration?
Oh, no way. I'm finished for now. It's weird. I've never been so in the zone before.
Same here.
David turned back to his monitor and switched the audio output.
Check this out.
A string of notes and beats hit the airwaves, perfectly in rhythm and harmony. It was a kind of sound Lewis had never heard before, though not in a jarring way, like one might expect. Lewis began bobbing his head in a mirror of David's earlier actions, smiling wide. You did this? Like you did all this tonight? This song is like 3 minutes long?
Yeah, I've always liked the guitar, and I was just messing with it earlier. But then I started up that mixer software Mom and Dad got me last year, and I just got in the zone, like you said.
Dude, you could put this out there, like on a platform or something.
Maybe. We'll see.
David shifted in his chair. He saw Lewis raise an eyebrow and burst out laughing.
Man, I got you. No, I already put it up. I won't check the views until the morning, though. I might be confident, but I'm not a nutcase.
I was gonna say, you don't usually hesitate to put yourself out there. Something I can learn from for sure. Lewis muttered the last sentence, but his brother still caught it. Anyway, you already had a couple hundred followers on your profile. You never know.
Yeah, well, I want to see what you've been working on then.
David grinned as he saw his sibling hesitate.
Come on, man. Turnabout's fair play, right?
We interrupt Voltage the audio drama to bring you our sponsor, Anchor. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you too, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Overcast, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership because Anchor is the first sponsor they sign you up with. It's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. You can download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Now back to Voltage.
The slightly amusing text tone pierced the silence of the Spire factory, and Stan reached into his pocket and switched his phone to silent mode.
No telling if someone else could be here.
4 days should have been plenty of time to get over everything, but it hadn't been. It wasn't just about the unfinished project. Something else was at play. The long pauses in between Jameson's responses, the convenience of only one terrorist now dead?
Too easy. Too clean.
Stan approached his old desk, breaking the drawer locks with ease.
Really am loving this strength, even if the circumstances do have an unsatisfying explanation.
Standing back up, with eyes adjusted to the darkness, Stan clenched his fists. Where was Tomber's desk? He did sit right across from Stan, didn't he? No, of course he did.
The Peak Project has made my mind sharper than ever. I can remember my 5th birthday party, so of course Tomber sat right here.
The young man continued his examination, kneeling in the empty space. No drag marks, no dolly tracks. So what moved it? Stan's hair on the back of his neck stood suddenly, and he whipped around, moving aside just before a black blade missed its target. The sword's bearer intercepted the still dodging Stan, landing a kick to the midsection and knocking him back.
Not great. Find a solution.
Stan backed up against the wall, still not on his feet. The cloaked figure went for the throat yet again, but a loose piece of rebar was Stan's last-ditch effort, and it came between the blade and his flesh.
Better than nothing, but I'm still caught off guard. Haven't fought before either. Ever. Peak Project is the only reason I've lasted this long.
The hooded man jumped back, putting his weapon away. Who are you?
None of your business. That's a regrettable response. Anger and adrenaline still calling the shots.
The shadow snickered and disappeared, quite literally, before surprising Stan with a reappearance on his right, a little too close for comfort. You lie. You're not as skilled as me, but you kept up more than you should have. You were here, weren't you? You got a taste of power, but now you know something is missing, and you've come to find it.
I'm looking for the truth.
Stan snapped back.
I guess it was you who moved the desk.
And I've come back for this one. The raspy intruder ran his sword along the top of Stan's desk. It has the other half of the answers I seek. Or it should.
My desk? I never worked with Tom Baron.
Oh, but you have. The man moved closer, and the room almost seemed to get darker. Because Gene Tomber's notes say so.
Nonsense.
I'll tell you what. The desk vanished with an unsettling sound, along with the Inquisitor. Before Stan could even react, the stranger was back, with Tomber's desk. I have what I want from Tomber's files. Go ahead and read whatever you want from here, if you'd like. If you are like me, you'll have no trouble remembering what was in your desk and put the pieces together. I'll be waiting. I'm certain we'll both see the pieces don't make a full picture. With another bend of space, he was gone.
Forget that.
Stan shook his head and started out the way he came in.
Whatever the notes are, I could figure it out myself if I wanted to. But
He turned and looked back at the open drawers.
one document would give me a head start.
No, man.
David insisted, pointing at the screen.
It really is awesome.
Lewis shrugged.
Lewis, man, you gotta take the encouragement. You said you were in the zone, and you were right. So what's with the face?
There's still something missing. I've written almost an entire story arc, and I can't peg that last thing.
It's the details.
Lewis whirled around with a start. There's no way you heard me thinking about this from across the street.
Nah,
David smirked.
I texted her. Stan too. I knew they'd enjoy reading it.
Dude.
Don't dude me, man. You know him, right? Let her do her thing.
It was Sarah's turn to smirk, and she sat down and began to read.
Okay. You're right, Lewis. It's missing a little something. But David's right, too. It's really great. Just
She clacked away at the keyboard and tilted her head thoughtfully.
see, just these couple of things right here. You've got to be a little more descriptive in your environments, and the characters could stand to be a little less fill in the blank. So if you add those things, even in just the first chapter, there.
Sarah turned the screen towards the boys.
How's that?
Lewis read the updated passage intently, nodding his head. Holy crap, Sarah,
You know,
David mused, reading the first few lines again.
the way you set the atmosphere in the beginning gives me an idea, too.
We hope you enjoyed this exciting episode of Voltage the Audio Drama. Tune in every 2 weeks for the next chapter.